September 15th marks the official start of Hispanic Heritage Month in the United States, kicking off a month of celebrations for the histories, cultures, and contributions of the community. And while things kick off today, we'll be marking the occasion across ABC News Live all month long, but today we start with one of those names some millions in the community go by, Chicano. Our next story helps us get into the soul of that movement, what it was, and where it stands today through art that explores identity with style and blends legacy with agency.
I think it's important for every person to know who they are, who their ancestors are. We're made of the dust and the blood and the dirt of the places we're from.
The word Chicano, the Aztecs were actually the Mexicas, so X is CH, so they were the Mexicanos. And so Chicano is half of the word Mexicano. And so it also has indigenous origins. It really becomes politicized in the 1960s with the beginning of the Chicano movement, and was occurring at the same time in the United States as like the Black Power movement.
We've been right here for a long time. We were here before the Pilgrims got here.
Well, that's true. The Mexican has been somewhat the stepchild of the civil rights movement, is what you're saying.
Right.
We're like the rejects of society, but we rise up with the culture that we created for ourselves.
The acceptance of a derogatory term and turning it into a form of resistance is saying that we refuse to accept assimilation is our fate, that we have to reject our language and our culture and our character, in a sense, and our history to be American.
Our people are just going to be ready to not take any more of the harassment from the police. I think that the sheriffs, prove the point that for the Chicano, the war is more here in the struggle for justice than over in Vietnam.
A los ricos y a los pobres se les canta esta canción. Se ha llegado ya la hora de movernos en unión.
Art, really in the 60s, becomes politicized.
In Chicano art, the art was about affirmation, and it was about resistance.
There is an expression here in the barrio that says black people pick up the match and burn to fight their battles, but Chicanos will pick up the gun. Most people are hoping it's just that, an expression.
My mother said I was trying to get even with the valley. She said, you put the Great Wall up to get even with the valley.
Murals become a wonderful canvas to not just create art in our community and transform neighborhoods that the broader society sees as like ghettos or barrios.
I began as an artist doing this work because I wanted to reach a particular audience. I had to go where that audience was. It never was not activism. The Great Wall is focused on local stories within the context of a larger thing happening in the country. I mean, it's hard to ignore the civil rights movement as a whole, but the reason that that is there is because it's a story that we lived through at a moment of civil rights activism, 1969. I think part of it is for us to actually elevate the stories of the people from our communities and from the places we come from, so we know that there's something to celebrate, that there are amazing things.
We made an impression on ourselves, towards the community.
I remember being somewhat distant from like the Brown Berets and the Chicanismo. I realized that what they were marching for were rights for our community and to be treated fairly. I got into being a cholo gangster in the Chicano culture. I really felt my place was with my barrio. I was in juvenile hall and I was waiting in a cell, and they brought this older kid in there, He told me, you know, how to do tattoos, how to get a needle, wrap it with thread, and dip it in the ink. I was a part of a group of tattoo artists in the 1970s that introduced Chicano-style black and gray tattooing to the tattoo world. When black and gray first started, the whole thing was that we wanted our tattoos to look more realistic. We didn't have color in prison, but we wanted our tattoos to not look cartoony. So we wanted a fine line and then the rest shading. The shading is the most important part. I finally ended up in Youth Authority, which is like California prison for teenagers. When I did get out, and I did get hired by Ed Hardy and Jack Rudy to work at Good Time Charlie's in East LA, that's when I really tried to push our thing as an art. We've always had beautiful things to offer the world. Just look at the whole lowrider scene. Who would have thought to do that with old cars?
I don't know, when I saw the first lowrider, man, it was like a whole different thing, you know? Nothing like a lowrider. I consider myself a custom car builder. I do everything from the bottom up. Depends what the customer wants. If they want just chrome it, gold plate it, engrave it.
Lowrider culture really begins post-World War II. Hot rods have an earlier origin of the 1930s, but what I think both cultures share is that when people look at your car, they're looking at you.
This guy has all the pictures from his family inside the car. When people talk about how a lowrider community is, this is how family-oriented is lowrider. This car, the owner is yours. His daughter, she went to war, so everything that he's doing is dedicated to her.
The car becomes very much tied to people's sense of their identity. And for Black and brown folks, lowriding became a way to create a sense of community.
It's not just a brand. Lowrider is a culture.
That's what the Chicano culture is, you know, it's style, it's language, art, and customizing our lives and our cars and our dress.
Our history is one that celebrates beauty, that celebrates art.
Today, I think the term Chicano can include others, people who have come to the same conclusions, that being able to accept who they are and to begin to speak from that positionality and in fact educate those who are not Latino, for example, that's the way we're going to change this nation and preserve our democracy.
Our thanks to everyone who opened up their homes and businesses for that story.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.